Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the whole enchilada of real estate investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Welcome, everyone, to another installment of the whole enchilada of real estate investing. And wow, have I got an amazing guest today, Tyler Tapley. He has a background, and I think you guys are going to be very interested. Tyler, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, a little bit of your background, family, that kind of thing.
Sure. Thank you for having me on. I'm hungry just hearing the word enchilada.
Yeah, baby.
So I'm a full-time agent. I'm an investor. I'm a hard money lender. I'm a flipper. I'm a team leader. I am a broker. So my predominant business is buying and selling real estate. I personally, I'm sure you've had some tremendous guests on, but I don't know how many could say this. I personally sell over 300 houses a year. Just me. That's not inflating. That's not team members as well. That's not auction. I'm not an auctioneer. That's what we do. That's what I do. My parents are real estate agents, full-time agents. My wife is an agent. My brother-in-law is an agent. But I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I should have mentioned that. I'm in Memphis. I'm licensed in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. I've been an agent a long time, probably about 20 years now. And I don't know. We've seen good days, bad days. We're filming this right now in April 2025, and obviously the stock market's been a little crazy, but we've seen it. We've seen everything. I started during the recession, and it was much different than obviously I was doing it during COVID as well, which was completely different. So we've seen it all. I was actually a commercial agent for many years. I just did that. I worked for CB Richard Ellis, which is one of the most prominent commercial firms you can work at, frankly. And I loved it. But yeah, this is what we do. We mostly work with investors, out of state investors that are buying or selling real estate here in Memphis.
Oh, and there's so much. That is such a fertile ground for real estate investing because the price points are right, the payments per month. So the ROI, the return on investment, is so good. So definitely it makes a lot of sense to do that. Now, one of the things that I'd like to explore with you is the amazing results that you're getting. And just talking about this 300 houses per year, how in the world are you able to do that?
So it's actually it did take a few years, but it's really not that hard. I also want to say this: I don't represent any builders. I don't represent any large banks for foreclosures. I wish I did. My wife's not a builder, neither are my parents. So I say all that to say that if your listeners are listening, like, oh, this guy, he has his own brokerage. No, I don't even have my own brokerage. I'm not in a small town. What we did, or what I did, started really during the recession. And it makes sense when times are bad. It's like the stock market. Savvy investors, they're not scared of the stock market going down. In fact, they buy more. Same thing in residential real estate. When COVID happened, when anything happens, the recession, even now, there's always money on the sidelines, and there's always people willing to invest and take those chances. So when it started, I was a newbie. I had been a commercial agent. I started doing residential. And I remember I started on a Monday. Most times when you join a job or a new company, you start on Monday. And I'm getting all these calls from investors wanting to buy HUD houses and Fannie Mae. And that's intimidating. It's like filing your taxes. You're dealing with the government. And I remember I was like, maybe nobody will call me and I won't ever have to do it. And that was on a Monday. And by Thursday, I had investors saying, no, I want you to write this offer for me. I want to pay cash. And so I had to just learn baptism by fire, as they like to say. But to directly answer your question, and it sounds like you're the same way, We rely off a large network of referrals from other agents, from past clients, from property management companies, from lenders. A lot of times, like I said, a lot of agents just don't want to do what we're doing. It might not be in an area of town they want. It might not be their specialty. But I would tell you probably 70% of our business involves a referral. Mostly what I do, and I'm sure your clients would love to hear this, is I have over 125 listings, which is what people prefer. Most agents would rather have listings than buyers. But we have a large network of buyers. We know, and this is what I would say, I can move to another market and it would take me a few months, but we figure out where the professional buyers are. Where do they buy? What do they buy? Who is their agent? Do they have an agent? I'm sure in most markets you'll see these billboards, I'll buy your house, or we buy ugly houses, things like that. So we know those people and we reach out to those people and we find out what they're wanting. And then we would go to, let's say if there's a zip code they like or a price point, we're going to find that out. We're going to look in the newspaper. We're going to look online and see where the property transactions are. And then we'll target those areas. I feel very confident that within a few months, we would have the market knowledge we would need and go from there.
Oh, wow, Tyler, that is awesome. And definitely that explains how you can sell so many houses per year because you're dealing with professionals that buy houses. They don't buy one, they don't buy two, they buy as many as you can put in front of them that fits their buy box.
Exactly.
So, the typical house that you sell, tell us about that.
So I would tell you that the average price point is about $130,000. Like I said, I mostly handle listings, but a lot of what we do, and this is a tip that I would tell your audience, if the house is vacant, we typically, and most of what we have, I want to rephrase, most of what we have is vacant and distressed. The utilities may not be on. It probably is a cash offer only, like it wouldn't qualify for a loan. We make our we make potential buyers that are trying to buy that and the agents, we make them go view it and make an offer with no contingencies. We don't allow blind offers. We don't allow wholesaling or assignments or anything like that. So if I have a vacant house, let's say it's a 3-1, a 3-2, 2-1, I will list it for sale and I will tell people, hey, you can go view it, but I don't want an inspection contingency. I don't want a financing contingency. Another thing we do, and I really do think that I would invent is a strong word, but I don't know anybody else is doing this. We do video walkthroughs of all of our properties and they're private. I have a YouTube channel, which I've shared with you. I've got a private, I've got over 1,000 videos of houses
Wow.
and they're shot in high definition. But I physically go to these houses and I take a video and it's a link. You don't have to download anything. Back in the old days, you'd have to send it via text message and the file would bounce back or they couldn't view it. But we do that. And guess what we do? Most of our sellers are out of state sellers, right? Maybe they haven't even been to Memphis or viewed the house. We take that video and we share it with them. So we say, here's a video of your house. And so we also share that with potential buyers. So we'll send that to agents. We'll send that to these big buyers that we talked about, institutional buyers, things of that.
Perfect. Okay. So we were in the midst of the conversation about the different types of folks that you work with and what you do for them, where you were actually doing the walkthroughs, sending them the videos, letting them know the good, the bad, the ugly, right?
So yeah, we have over 1,000 videos that are private. We don't make them public for a reason because we don't want to offend neighbors, sellers, tenants. A lot of what we sell are tenant occupied properties. So I'll physically go meet the tenants. So imagine like an apartment complex. I'll physically go meet the tenants. And by the way, now this is, I'm really proud of this. So you can shoot the videos on your iPhone. Obviously you don't need high tech equipment, but now when you're doing it, you can actually pause. So it used to be if you were shooting a video and then you hit pause, then it would now if you hit pause, you can still make one long video without editing or anything. So your audience to do that. But imagine even if you had, so an apartment complex would be good. Maybe there's a common area you want to show the workout facilities or the swimming pool or whatever. Imagine if you had a farm. Imagine if you had several acres and you wanted to do that. So we do that. And I'm sharing this because this will help no matter what you're trying to sell, but keep the video. And then that way, let's say it was a farm or an apartment or a shopping center, and then you sell it, you keep the video, and then you can share that with the next potential buyer. And you can say, hey, you're wanting to buy an apartment, you're wanting to buy a ranch. Here's a video. Here's what your money will get you.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm obviously making it simple. Let's say the apartment was $1 million and it was 10 units. It was 10 units at $1 million. And you get a phone call and somebody says, I want 15 units and I only want to spend $1 million. You could then say, look, I'm not trying to argue with you, but this one only sold for $1 million and it was 10 units. So there you go. So what it does, it shows potential buyers what their money gets them. It shows sellers. Let's say you had a seller that thinks we'll use that apartment complex as an analogy. Let's say a seller says, I want $1 million and they have 10 units and you sold one that was 15 units for 900,000. You can share that video and say, look, and by the way, this property I sold was in better shape than yours. It had more bedrooms. It had the tenants paid more. All those types of things, it just makes it a lot easier and it's less
Well,
combative, things like that.
what you're describing is visual comps as opposed to something that's on a piece of paper that said it's this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, here's how much it sold for. There's really no context to that unless in the description they're saying handyman special or come fix me up or whatever. So now you're giving context to the numbers that people are talking about. I love that. I think that's very wise. And what you're doing is actually providing a service, which also matters to real estate investors and anyone that is wanting to get a return on their investment. They want to buy the right thing in the right neighborhood with the right things wrong with it so that they can then fix it up and get a value out of it.
So this is, yeah, and I don't mean this rudely, but I get so many phone calls from potential buyers, and some of them are serious, and some of them aren't serious, or newbie buyers, or not going to get pre-approved, whatever. I'm sure you've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
So what I like about shooting a video for a listing, let's say I have a listing and I get a call from somebody, and a lot of times I'm driving or I'm out in the field and I really can't spend 20 minutes just unplanned to talk to them. I'll send them the video first and that will answer the majority of their questions. So they say, how bad is it? Because you've probably shown property before where they say, oh, I like a fixer upper. Then they go look at it and they're like, oh, this thing's hideous. I had no idea. And they're even mad that you wasted their time. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. I send the videos to prepare them. You could do this on new construction. Obviously, you see it on social media. People are obviously taking videos like that. But let's say you had a house that was a brand new house or something you sold. Keep that video. And then that way, if you have another one that comes up in that subdivision, you can then use that to show that seller, show a potential buyer, et cetera. So
I love
I
that.
love it. Yeah. And it's a
I think
link.
that's a brilliant idea. And that applies to our certified affordable housing providers when they're preparing a property to show to the public on one of our path to home ownership clients. Hey, if you've already done a video, just send it to them before they even go out and look at the property. I love that idea. And definitely instead of just sending them to the website and saying, see what you find, you're literally narrowing it down to what they can afford and sending them a video on that. And
You
so
can send it to tenants. You can have, if you had a potential tenant and you said, I'm going to do a video walkthrough and here's what this thing rents at $1,500. Here's what it is. So before you go even show the tenant, you can say, here, obviously they have photos. Everyone does that. And I do commentary. When you think of a video, you think, oh, it's got to be quiet. No, I'm intentionally walking it and I'm pointing. I'm saying, hey, this window needs to be replaced, Mr. Seller. That oven doesn't work. That air conditioner is here, but it's 20 years old. We're doing all that. Like I said, we're sending it mostly to potential buyers that are looking at our distressed properties. So the other reason we do that is, and I know this would, That way they can't say, oh, well, I didn't realize the roof needed to be replaced or that the AC was older. I'm like, it's in the darn video. If you're saying in the video, the AC is from 2002. So yes, you need to do that. So it's a more efficient way of handling things. And
It
frankly, other agents love it too, because they can send the video to their buyer. So if I had a listing and you called me and you're like, hey, Tyler, I want to show your listing. Does it need a lot of work? I'll send you the video as a favor. You can send it to your buyer. If your buyer says, man, I'm not interested in that at all, then that's better for you. Then you haven't had to drop what you're doing to go show something. So people prefer it.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's brilliant and definitely of service and in service. And it's speed to market too. It's speed to closing. And
Right.
that's why you're doing over 300 houses per year. So
Yeah,
I should say 300 properties, right? You're not only doing single family, but you're doing multifamily.
we do
What's the
lots.
balance
We do
between
most, probably 85% of what we sell is single family.
single family? Wow.
We do sell duplexes. We sell vacant parcels. I'm really proud of this. It closed today. I had a piece of land. It only sold for $8,000. The commission was 1,500, which to me is a pretty good amount on 8,000. But it had been listed for 1,162 days.
Oh, whoa.
1,162 days, but it sold, and I'm really proud of that. The buyer it's an institutional buyer. They're going to build a house on it. So that's great in Memphis. That's obviously jobs. That raises the tax roll because instead of it being taxed at $8,000, it's going to be a house. It'll probably be $160,000 built to suit rental. And as the name implies, those literally are built and they're not available to owner occupants. They're built, they're rented out, typically Section 8. And they're nice. They're 4-bedroom, 2-bath homes. Typically, they don't have covered parking. They're either hardy plank or brick, and investors buy them and they sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
So
So
we love
build to rent is the concept, right? Build to
it.
rent because there's not enough inventory for investors to actually purchase. And the law of supply and demand is so true. And there is plenty of buyers and plenty of renters out there. Now, one of the unique things about what we do is we take those rental properties and convert them. And it's not the property, it's actually the person. We give the person the opportunity at home ownership. So when they move into one of our quote rentals unquote, they're actually on the path to home ownership where we help build up their credit, build up their down payment until they can eventually qualify for a loan to buy that home or a different home, and basically giving a family trajectory of their life and basically looking at it from a different point of view. Hey, you're not sentenced to being a renter for the rest of your life. You do have the opportunity to change that, and we're the bridge that can cause that to happen, because the banker wants you to be inside their box, right? And if you're not inside their box, then they're not going to be able to be of help. But we can do that because we can be patient along the way and help build you up, and then eventually you purchase the property. So that's a bit about our model that can fit beautifully with what you're saying, because we actually find our buyers before we even buy the property. So we've already got customers. We can come to you and say, Tyler, here's what I've got in the Memphis, Tennessee area. What have you got for me that can work for us to be able to have a spread when we sell it to our buyer?
And this is important for a variety of reasons. Obviously, financially, it incentivizes you. You're not doing it for free, but we're talking about generational wealth for that potential buyer. It's not just about them. A lot of ways that's cheaper than renting, but it's generational wealth for them. They can own a house. Obviously, home ownership's one of the best tools you can do to acquiring and maintaining wealth. But what it also does, and people don't talk about this enough, let's say you do one or two of those in a specific neighborhood or subdivision. Those prices have now gone up. You now have an owner occupant sale. That's rising tide lifts all boats. That's raising the values in that neighborhood in a genuine, honest way. And that helps the rest of the neighbors. That could help a client if they're wanting to refinance. that might get rid of a blighted and boarded up home. That's one of the best things we see is we love selling the houses that were in terrible shape, that the yard was overgrown. We love selling that to either an owner occupant or an investor that fixes them up. It, the high pride of ownership, things like that. It's a much better thing. So that's another example of a byproduct of what you offer during that program.
It's a beautiful thing. And thank you for saying that because it's exactly what we do. We create communities, we change communities, we create the opportunity for a family, a deserving family, to get into that property and give them a chance at the American dream of home ownership. So
Well,
we
now it's
love.
easier to do. Now it's easier for, that's a high comp, like we just talked about. So maybe for a bank or an appraisal, they say, oh, okay, we have seen several of these comps that are higher. Yes, we're more willing and understanding to loan in that market. So that's multiple things besides just making money on it. That's really important. Fantastic.
To benefit you as well is that sometimes we're selling the property to the buyer. In other words, they've got at least 10% to put down. Now, we allow them to not only have cash, but also to agree to do some or all of the repairs, and we give them credit for that as well towards their down payment. And so when they build to 10%, then we actually do in-house financing. And we'll list it and sell it on the same day. So we're setting that mark of that value in that neighborhood as well.
So important. And then it's exciting. I would literally use that word exciting. It's obviously exciting for the buyer, but just the neighborhood, just activity. You got to remember, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. That's not the most hustling and bustling market. In fact, we have a lot of population loss. We have a lot of poverty. So when you see that and new people moving in, it's fantastic for a variety of reasons. It
It
really is.
really is. Memphis has been a hot spot for investors for decades, really. And it's because of the price points. It's because of the supply and demand as well, that there is demand there. And making a slight shift in what you're doing, we work with real estate agents as well and mortgage brokers and so on, where they're actually adding our model to what they're doing so that they can serve a bigger audience, people that they typically turn away and say, hey, we can't help you because you need your past, your history on credit. We can. And so as a result, you're able to now get on the investor side of things and be able to, instead of getting that commission up here on the closing statement, you get that paid to seller down there at the bottom, which is a lot more
People
higher.
reach out. Yeah, we've had people reach out similar to what you're doing. Real, I hate to use this word, like venture capitalists. I hate to say be real professional, but yeah, VC, just money like that. Just super smart people have definitely looked at Memphis and done similar things here. Done quite well. So we see a lot of West Coast money that identifies Memphis and other peer markets, Cleveland, places like that, and they do that, and it's been well for them.
You've been brilliant in creating a niche, really, because you started looking at who is my buyer. And this is what we teach too. We say, find out who your buyer is first before you go buy the property. And you said, who is my buyer? What are they going to buy? Let me go find those properties and bring those to the table. That's brilliant. How do you typically find your properties?
I pay $0, zero for marketing or advertising, which is probably not, that's definitely not what you should do. I think
Well, I don't know. With 330 houses sold last year, I think you're
it,
doing fine.
yeah, but that's crazy. I literally I don't have employees. I don't have anything like that. And I really don't want it. I'm so focused on that. But yeah, we don't have billboards. We don't have a radio spot. We don't have a TV spot. There's none of that. It's, it really didn't take that long. It took a few years, but you just, people with social media, it does help. But yeah, when you start selling that many houses, people all over the world will find a town to come meet me. They'll find me on Zillow. They'll find me on realtor.com. Obviously we have a Google page, which is free. Like I said, we don't have a lot of fluff. Which is what you get. Frankly, I don't have a big studio here. Like it's just, and we don't really want to. We do so much word of mouth. We get so much business from property management companies. We get so much business from other agents. and it kind of perpetuates and it just goes into its own little world. I have over 100 phone calls a day from people that are wanting to buy or they're wanting to sell. Another thing we do, this is important, we offer a really big referral fee. So we tell other agents, hey, we want to pay you. Most agents probably offer 20 or 25%. We offer a lot more than that. We do that on purpose and we do that on every property. So if you send me a client and they actually own 5 properties, we don't pay one referral. We pay it on all of them. And obviously agents love that, but we get a lot of property management business. I would tell you to reach out to a homeowners association. That was one of the ways that I really started. I had a building, it was it was inside Memphis. It was like a 20-story building. It was condos. And I'm sharing this with people because most of your audience probably knows of a condo or something like that.
Sure.
And we got a listing and it had an on-site property manager. The property manager was there on the ground floor, and this unit was terrible. The owner hadn't been paying their HOA dues, things like that. And we sold it, and we didn't make a whole lot off of it. But that gentleman because he was the property manager, he knew all the owners, he knew all their business, he knew when they were getting married, getting divorced, moving, whatever. I ended up selling 16 of those units over the course of 2 years, and all from just answering the phone and meeting him. Now, I would then go bring him some lunch or something like that, but super simple stuff. So that's a great example of something you can do or your audience can do. Find an apartment complex, and talk to the HOA. They probably would love for you. They have problem owners, shall we say, or they'll even have problem tenants. They're like, man, this is a rental and Lou owns it, but Lou doesn't live here, but his tenant is terrible. You could do this at the beach. You could literally go to Florida and reach out to HOAs, offer them a referral fee, and get those listings, do the video like we talk about. You may say, why would I do a video? Show a video of a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. And then that way you can even share that with potential buyers and say, hey, look, here's what your money gets you. Here's what a 1-bedroom, 1-bath on the beach condo. Here's the size. Here's the amenities you're going to get. So then you're not having to waste time and constantly show that. You're setting expectations for a buyer. So
that is a major league takeaway, guys. I hope you listen to what Tyler just said. I teach stealth buying, finding deals that nobody else knows about. And this is a perfect example of that, connecting with those people that know what people's trajectories are. They know who just died. And of course, that's going to be a probate opportunity. They know who's behind because they're not paying the HOA dues. They know who's in trouble. They know maybe who got their utilities cut off, and hey, they're looking for some way to deal with it. And sometimes people just tell somebody just to get it out of their own body. And who do they have to tell? Somebody that's banging on the door saying, where's the money? And so it definitely makes a lot of sense to connect with those property managers. That's a lovely tip. I sure do appreciate that one. Now, what are your other secret ways that you find sellers?
So, speaking back on that HOA thing, and I'm sure you've probably talked to your audience about this. Obviously, when people don't pay their HOA dues, sometimes the HOA will generate foreclosure proceedings or put a lien on it. I'm sure you've talked about code violations. That's another way. So the HOA typically just wants to be paid in full and paid up. So I will reverse engineer it. And if I see that John Smith is behind on his HOA dues, because that's public record, I will then try and reach out to John directly to try and list it. Or maybe I won't even list it. Maybe like we've already talked about, because I know what buyers pay, and I may just go directly to John and say, hey, would you be interested in an offer at XYZ price? So we're doing things like that. Obviously, we do networking events. Once again, I think this is, in some ways, they hear me sometimes and they get frustrated. They're like, you didn't share your secrets. I'm like, no, I'm an open book. We don't spend money on advertising or anything like that. We're just here. The biggest thing we do, we answer our phone. We answer every text message. If you email us, you will get a response immediately too. As far as prospecting with sellers, That's as far as getting leads and things like that. It's more we're doing homework. Like I said, we really are focusing on property transfers. And so we're seeing who buys where, what they paid. I think the program that you offer, for instance, if I saw that you were actively buying and selling in those, I'd say, okay, Lou and his team are doing this. I need to go find a seller. Lou just bought one on Main Street, 123 Main Street. I'm going to go to that same subdivision and I'm going to try and find a seller and then pitch that to Lou. And hopefully the seller will let me list it. And then I can get both sides of the commission, which is 6%. But if the seller won't, I'll go to Lou directly and I'll say, hey, I've got this seller's information. And a lot of times, this is funny too. A lot of times, if the sellers won't want to deal with me, I'll give Lou the seller information and I'll let Lou put it on his contract, his purchase and sale agreement. I'll let him do the whole thing. And Lou, I'll say, Lou, will you pay me $5,000 if this closes? And Lou says, sure. Totally legal. Nothing wrong with that. Lou and the seller are now interacting. They're talking. They can close whatever terms they want. And I get paid if it closes. Lou puts it to my brokerage. Totally legal and honest, easy way of doing it.
Wow, that you just broke the code on the whole wholesaling thing. Because, of course, wholesalers are being attacked across the country and they're being shut down. And it's a wave. It's definitely happening all across the country. You just reverse engineered wholesaling. I love it. I think it's brilliant. And anyone that gets an opportunity like that, certainly you're happy to pay the agent because you wouldn't have known about that deal any other way. And of course, you're going to factor that into your purchase price. Hey, and one of the things that you want to do is build a relationship, guys, because they don't only have one deal. This is their career. This is what they do ongoingly. So they can bring you over the span of your relationship with them many deals. And in fact, build a much more deep and broad relationship where they're actually bringing you your buyer as well because it's somebody in their database that has less than perfect credit, can't fit the banker's box because they're entrepreneurs, whatever the case may be, and they bring them to you. You're able to put them in that house that they actually help you just fine. That is a beautiful thing, my friend, and I love what you're sharing. This is
Yeah.
powerful. Now, as we close, what are other things that you would suggest for someone that's in the business and wanting to work with a real estate agent like yourself?
I think that, at least for me, I would, if I was a buyer and I was looking at investing or doing a program similar to yours, I would try and sit down with an agent that's experienced in this and I'm like but try and set realistic expectations. Say to that, I referenced it earlier, figure out, and I do this as an agent. If a potential buyer calls me and says, hey, I want to buy an investment property, I'll say, okay, what are you wanting to spend? And I've had some people that say, I don't know. I've had some people say, I've got millions of dollars, I'll spend whatever. And I'll say, okay, what are you trying to spend per door? Okay, so you can buy a house in Memphis for under 100 grand. You could probably buy one for about 70,000, and it's going to rent for 750 $750. Does that work for you? Or do you want to spend 150 grand and it might rent for $1,300? So I'm saying this as an agent, but when a buyer contacts me, I'm trying to set realistic expectations and show them what their money gets you. That's why I also show those videos. That's why we have all those videos, is I can say to them, hey, because if let's say they get disappointed and they say, oh, I thought I could buy one for $40,000 and it would rent for 1,000. Say, no, not really. By the way, here's 5 or 6 previously sold homes, and here's what they did sell for. So we're trying to be, obviously, that's a lot more efficient, but it's
You're
saying,
educating. You're
yeah,
educating them on the market. You're educating them on what return on investment they should expect to get in your market and realistic expectations because, hey, people do go off the deep end and
right.
those unicorns do exist. those really cheap properties, but you have to be the one to actually generate that typically. As Tyler's saying, he doesn't have to spend any money on marketing. If you're going to find those unicorns, you're going to have to be the one spending the dollars on the marketing to find those sellers that just want to get rid of the property. They just need some money today, or they got a problem today. They're willing to give up a lot of equity because of that problem. Okay, those do exist. But the big news is an ongoing opportunity when you've got a model like path to home ownership. You're just looking for product. You've got customers, you're looking for product to put them into. So I love this.
Yeah, it's really simple and efficient. If you notice, I'm not using big words and spending lots of money and takes all this time. It's super simple. And maybe that's how our brains are. I'm not sure, but it's
Yeah.
worked and it continue to work. It continues to work. Our business is busy when the market's really good, like during COVID and just houses are flying off the shelf, obviously like that. But even when the market is terrible and slow, we still sell tons of houses because we have those buyers that we know, those professional buyers. Maybe they're not going to pay $100,000 because the market's bad, but they'll still buy it. They might only offer 70,000. That's not, we would prefer them pay 100, but if they really are all in at 70, then we go to our seller and we say, hey, listen, we've had your house listed 60 to 90 days. It isn't moved. This client wants to offer 70,000. Do you want to take it? By the way, if you don't take it, it's fine, but we're still gonna have to pay property taxes. We still got utility costs. We still got insurance on it. There's a good chance that it could get vandalized. We see a lot of vandalism, unfortunately, here in Memphis. I'm sure your customers, some every once in a while, have that too. So the longer it sits, there's a good chance somebody might steal the air conditioner or the water heater or something like that. And a seller may say, you know what, I can't sell it for 70, but I'll sell it for 85. And so we're constantly working and discussing things with our buyers and our sellers. So that's a lot of what it is.
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And really, it shows that you're in the game for the long haul. And that's, guys, who you're looking for, maybe in your local market, or maybe you're interested in investing in Memphis, Tennessee. And I think we have an amazing relationship now. I am very excited about it. Tyler, you are full of great information. How can people find you?
Sure. The easiest thing is you can find me on social media. It's Tyler Tapley, Tapley. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those things. My email address is on there, my cell number, all that stuff. So we'll be happy to talk to you. I talk to, obviously I love buyers or sellers, but I talk with a lot of agents who are just trying to generate new business, things like that. A lot of our clients, funny enough, are agents that are in Orange County, they're in Denver. That's probably our biggest. If you look at our customer base, most of them are real estate agents, but they are investors here. So funny enough, but yeah, you can emulate what we're doing, and we'd love for you to do that.
Yeah, they expatriate their money from California because they can't get the ROI there. And they come to Memphis, Tennessee because the ROI is beautiful there. So it definitely makes a lot of sense for people to do what I call long distance investing, long distance profits. And you don't have to live where you invest. You can open the door to options and opportunities in other markets, and Tyler is a great connection for that. Tyler, thank you so much for being here. Any parting words?
No, like I said, I appreciate it, and I'm excited to hear more about your business and the structure you're doing. But I think that's fantastic. I meant what I said. We're talking about generational wealth and path to home ownership. So that's huge. That's so important. So I'm glad to see that. And on top of that, like I said, it's getting rid of blighted up houses, boarded up houses. It's increasing the tax rolls. It's giving people jobs. I could go on and on about that. I'm pretty passionate about that. I think that's really wonderful. So glad to hear that and keep it up.
All right, my friend, thank you for joining us today for the whole enchilada of real estate investing. And I look forward to talking to you very soon. Yeah, baby. Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, This can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.